I'm Scott Munn, along with Tug Cowart, in the Warrior Alliance Network studios in Atlanta, Georgia. If you know a veteran looking for inspiration to level up in their second career, then turn up the volume as we introduce to you an outstanding and inspiring American today on Success After Service. Staff Sergeant Nathan Azarowicz is a U.S. Marine Corps Reserve and an attorney at law who continues to serve his country with no plans to retire anytime soon. He's trained and decorated as a Marine heavy equipment and small craft mechanic who continues to serve as he graduated from the University of West Georgia and John Marshall Law. In his final year of law school, Nathan served as the Veteran Outreach Coordinator for the John Marshall Veteran Legal Clinic, providing free legal assistance for homeless and struggling veterans with criminal misdemeanors. After passing the Georgia Bar exam, Nathan now works as a civil defense attorney at the law firm of Groth, Macareno, Kaiser, and Idex. Tug and I are honored to meet a Marine who successfully launched a second career while maintaining his passion for serving our country. Marine Staff Sergeant Nathan Azarowicz, welcome to the Warrior Alliance Network, and congrats on your success after service.
Thank you so much. That was a great intro. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
We're so glad to have you, man.
I'm telling you, that's big time, man. There's a lot going on there, and I know you must be proud. So you went into the Marine Corps Reserves after high school, post 9/11. Mm-hmm. Why'd you choose the Marine Corps, man? Why'd you think, man, Parris Island, that's where I need to be?
Well, I'll tell you this. This is actually quite a funny story. My grandparents on both sides served. My dad in the Navy.
All right, here we go. Now we're talking.
I was like, I wanted to serve in some capacity.
Sure.
So right after high school, I went and called the Army recruiter. I said, I'll be at the office this day. He said, I'll meet you there. Showed up. He was not there, but the Marine Corps recruiting office was right next door. And I remember this, and I told my recruiter, he leaned out of the door and was like, why don't you come into my office and we'll have a discussion. And being post 9/11, he had just got back from another tour. I think he had done 4 overall, and now he wanted to do the recruiting thing. Very good. And just the way he spoke to me and told me about the Marine Corps and, you know, the opportunities that I could have in the Marine Corps, I just was like, this is where I want to be. I just happened to, you know, he happened to be there that day and happened to be free and talk to me, and he really inspired me, and that's why the Marine Corps. And, you know, 9/11 happened when I was, I think, first grade. So quite a while of just watching the whole, you know, events in the Middle East.
Terror and everything that come with it.
As I'm, you know, going through, you know, middle school, high school, and it's just something you see every day, and I just knew I wanted to serve in some kind of capacity.
I love the fact that you had a good relationship and a good experience with your recruiter, because that's not always the way it goes. I think probably more nowadays than then, but I remember there being some tough stories about recruiting and getting recruited. I was, you talk about you were in first grade when 9/11 happened. I'd been out of the Navy for almost a year when 9/11 happened, but I still know and remember some of those tough stories that people would share with me about recruiting. And it's funny, you talk about the offices being close by. I was weighing between Army and Navy. Navy recruiter is who I was kind of leaning toward, but Army recruiter had a good pitch. And it was funny. The Army recruiter is like, man, you going to dress up like that every day? He's like, there's no way. And I was like, am I going to be at the beach? And he said, well, you will be at the beach, but you're going to look crazy. And I was like, you know what? I'll take the beach. You know? That's what made my decision. It's crazy that it was something so really insignificant that pushes you one way or the other. Yeah.
All based on some just healthy competition between the branches.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Well, you know, it's like the Navy pulls up to the beach, but the Marines get out and walk in that water and come take that beach, don't they? And what about that relationship with the Marines and the Navy? Is it a love affair always, or are you guys getting along still? How's that working out?
From my experience, I think we're getting along pretty well. Being a small craft mechanic, every place that I get to work is on a beach. And a lot of times working on the Navy bases that have the amphibious capabilities.
Sure.
Those are the people you work really close with. It's kind of more detached from the bigger Marine Corps, most of these bases, because a lot of the people who operate small craft are the MARSOC and the Recon Marines, and I'm there to support them. And like I said, it's every job is on the beach or on a lake, so I think I lucked out.
How did you find that passion to become a expert military equipment mechanic?
Probably my dad. He was in the Navy, mechanic on a ship. Now he's a mechanic who works on aircraft. and being a mechanic was something, just tinkering with things when I was younger. I just had an aptitude for, working on things and building things. And I wanted to join the military with a, something I could take out of like a career fallback. At the time, I thought I was going to be a mechanic. So I'm like, I'm going to go, the reserves is going to let me go to school to be a diesel mechanic. Of course, I'd love to do that. But then things changed up a little bit when after going through the heavy equipment and small craft course. I loved it. I love being in the Marines doing it, but civilian side, I want to do something different.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And that's the thing. The great thing about the reserves is that you have the ability to serve, but then you have your everyday life that you go back to, right? And there's the opportunity, the doors open to serve while you're not serving, at least full time, and there's so many people that excel. And a dear friend of mine lives out in Seattle, got out of the Navy. He and I were the two that were going to go 20 years. There was no doubt. And he and I are the only two that got out. He finished his and has retired as in the Navy Reserve. But for him, it was just that ability. I don't want to give up what I know and I love, but I want to do other things too, kind of like you're describing.
Right, exactly. And a lot of things changed once I got my undergrad degree, and everyone in the Marine Corps, everyone in my civilian side, why don't you become an officer? You have your degree now, do this. Something about being on the enlisted side, being a mechanic, hanging with the guys, getting the job done. Nothing against officers.
No, of course not.
They get it done, but something hanging with the guys. And
that's right.
Being a mechanic was really my
Well,
passion.
you really wanted to work for a living, right?
Well, but yes, Scott, yes. But the funny thing is, my brother-in-law was enlisted Air Force, and probably 10, 12 years of enlisted work. Finally, he got his degree done, converted, and he was like, the only thing I wanted to do was go back to being enlisted. His experience was, he loved it. He still loved the Air Force, but he missed those days that you're discussing.
And you've had such a dichotomy in your career and life. It's really interesting. I mean, you're a Marine and a mechanic on the one hand, but then you completed your degree at the University of West Georgia, and you went to John Marshall Law School here in Atlanta. Now, how does one go from being a staff sergeant and a mechanic, a small craft mechanic on the beach with the Marines, and then you're thinking you want to have a legal career? I mean, that's just it seems like a white-collar, blue-collar dual life, right?
Yes, it was very difficult when I first got out of the reserves. I went through boot camp. I went through training. I get out and I see ads. Everyone's like, you should go to college. That's why you do the reserves, so you could fulfill do your college time. But once I got to in college and taking these courses, I fell in love with philosophy and political science. So I knew down the road I wanted to be eventually run for office in the state of Georgia. So.
Wow. So you have long-term aspirations.
Yes, very long-term.
Nice.
And while in school, I did some work at the Georgia Capitol during one of the legislative sessions in 2020. Yeah. But I never really thought about being an attorney until I got back from one of the unit deployment program I was on in the Marine Corps. I get back, and then I have a semester of school left. Getting my philosophy degree, and I panicked because what do I do with the philosophy degree?
Think about getting a job, maybe.
But it was, and I knew everything. Like, I may not have planned it consciously, but getting that philosophy degree and the critical thinking that you need, that I took away from that to go to law school with, it seems like everything just had worked out without even me trying to plan it. The work ethic I got from the Marine Corps, and then the analytical reasoning and thinking I got from being a philosophy major, just kind of made sense going into law school. It just made sense.
It does all fit. It gives you a balance in your life, maybe.
And the good Lord works in mysterious ways, man.
Exactly.
I'm telling you. Yeah, He puts you where you need to be, and gives you that experience, that opportunity, and knows what's best for you for sure. What can you tell folks that are listening that are military connected about your experience at John Marshall Law School and how that school helped you as a veteran?
They were very welcoming to all the veteran community. I didn't know this when I first got there because my 1 year of law school, I'm just trying to focus on keeping my grades up. But it was me, and there were several other military members there that were actively drilling. They're very nice about working with people. Like my drill schedule, I drill out of San Antonio now, so I have to fly constantly back and forth from Texas. and they're very like accommodating on due dates for assignments and exams when I have military duty. Very helpful in that respect. And then the working with the VA and people who have the GI Bill, they have the administrative team there that coordinates with the VA. Their representatives there, and very welcoming school to veterans.
And what was your role there? I know you were at the Veterans Outreach Center there, and you were the coordinator, really, for the Veterans Outreach Center at John Marshall. And I think that's where you met Scott Johnson, the president or CEO of the Warrior Alliance, and you started to collaborate, didn't you? Tell us all about that.
Yes, actually, that was one of my favorite parts of law school. I was going into my 3L year of law school, my last year, getting ready to look for a career and take the bar. But the school had just applied for a federal grant from the VA to be able to provide legal assistance to homeless veterans. And with my background, they were looking for both people out of law school, and I was the only one that applied that was in the law school, knowing that it would be like a lot on my plate, working 30 hours a week. But I applied. I think I was the only one that had that military connection that applied, and they hired me on. And because they just gotten the grant, brand new position, so I was kind of thrown to the sharks.
Yeah, thrown the deep end. Got to learn to swim quick.
I did, and then one of the first things I did was reach out to my military connections in Atlanta, and then look online, be like, what are some veterans groups that can help me get started? What are the platform? And then everywhere I looked, the Warrior Alliance popped up. So I'd sent several emails, make sure they had my contact information, and started a good working relationship with Scott and Mark a lot. I saw them at countless veterans events and talked to them. And as I started getting like on my feet in that position, I really fell in love with the work, helping veterans, and specifically homeless veterans. It was tough. There's a lot of stuff people can't tell you going, and this is a good one. People can't really tell you how to run that position. So I would go into homeless shelters in my suit and tie coming from law school, and I would talk to veterans, and I would get the information I needed to help them. I wanted to be able to communicate with them, but I felt they were a little bit more reserved. And then one day I got back from drill. I was very tired. I just threw on a hoodie, one of my Marine Corps hoodies, and went in to talk to the veterans. Day and night difference.
Almost like you meet people on their level or where they are.
Exactly. And no one could have told me that. So I just started going to all the shelters anywhere I could. And a lot of shelters, specifically like Salvation Army and the Gateway Center, they help all kinds of people in housing situations, the homeless, but they all have a program for veterans. And I knew that when you're going in there and you see a lot of people who are down on their luck, and they're just trying to get by, and then out of nowhere you hear a bunch of laughter, and then you go up, and then hey, they saw the veteran. They have their own floor at some places and own wing, and they're a whole different type of demeanor when you walk in and talk to the veterans, because they're more hopeful. They're there. They have that sense of community within that community to be able to share a common background. And I think I was able to tap into that whenever I would go there and talk to them, and working with them on the legal side. In fact, we help with criminal misdemeanors, which are anything from driver's license to petty theft, loitering, just DUIs, things like that could happen to anyone. And working with them, realizing that that's not the one issue. And I know working with veterans, and especially the homeless, there's always more than one issue.
Yeah.
So then I really started tapping into the resources at the Warrior Alliance. Like, hey, I can help them with this issue. I can help them with their driver's license issue. But they don't have a place to sleep. They don't have. They need to talk to the VA.
They don't have a place for mail to come.
They don't have a place for mail. They don't. A lot of them didn't have a phone. So then I would reach out and refer them. So then I started bringing my laptop to a lot of these shelters, and just letting them like, okay, I can't help you personally on this. They have a different legal issue that we help with criminal. Let's say you have like a civil issue that you need help with, and then I would let them use my laptop to sign up for the Warrior Alliance and make sure they kept in touch and go back to the shelters and really just being the boots on the ground. I did not like being in the office. They did not give me a window, so I would try to go out and
I got to see the sunshine.
yeah, I got to go and meet and just talk to people and talk to the veterans. That's really how
great.
Especially the homeless veterans. They like not having internet access and phones. Some of the time, you gotta go talk to them, drop off some flyers,
right,
meet people.
But Nathan, I love how you naturally discovered exactly what the Warrior Alliance is there to do. It's the network. It's if you just go to thewarrioralliance.org and sign up, and then you can find out what ways they can help you. You don't have to dream up all the ways that they can help you. You can just sign up and say what's going on with you and get processed, and then they can help you. So maybe more organizations who need that other layer could join the warrioralliance.org, or an individual, like you said, you can go and just sign up on the website and find out what other resources there are, and I think it's great that you just sort of figured that out. You brought the network into your program, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And once I sent that first email to the Warrior Alliance and that back and forth, it was just so easy working with the Warrior Alliance, and it was fun. Going to the events that y'all would put on, and then working at John Marshall, I would try to set up our own events. By the time I finished, my last year, I would set up an event with Emory Law School where we coordinated, and we had a big wills clinic and a clinic to put on, like, know your rights for the criminal aspect of it. And working with those schools and working with the Warrior Alliance was, there's all these separate organizations out there, but trying to put on an event or go to an event where everyone comes together was one of my favorite parts.
That's cool, man. I love it. I love your story. I love what you're about, man, and I can tell that you care about it and the things that you're doing. Tell me about the skills that you picked up in the Marine Corps. Are any of them usable in your new profession as a lawyer?
Oh, almost all of them. The adaptability and the teamwork.
MacGyver-like?
Yes. And going into especially the law office where I work now, it's a little bit bigger than what the law firm I had expected. But I love the amount of teamwork and the way they're structured there. It's very, reminds me of the military. I have my senior, they have their senior, and I really felt
little chain of command action.
Little chain of command action.
Makes it comfortable.
It was very, very comfortable, and they're very welcoming there too, with my drill schedule and everything like that. As being an active reservist, I think the adaptability aspect came in whenever it was. Civil defense was not something I had always expected I was going to do. But then again, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But I love the work. I love the work now, and it's really good getting to know the Georgia legal system.
Are there other veterans in your office?
There's about 30 to 40 people there. I'm not sure exactly if there's any other veterans. I have been thrown in there, and I have a lot of cases now, so I don't do the most amount.
You don't got time to socialize and gallivant around.
Like most lawyers, you're buried in paperwork, I would imagine.
Yes.
But folks, if you want to check out Nathan's law firm, it's gmke.law. gmke.law. And would you just nutshell what it is, their purpose, what drives them, or what their corporate or their aim is as a law firm?
Yeah, they're a civil defense firm, and what I handle most is like liability and insurance defense, and they handle a wide range of things outside of what I do. I'm focusing mainly on motor vehicle accidents and things like that, and I love the work. It's very it's helping me get a good understanding of the Georgia legal system. And I know other people in the office, they work on a wide array of different legal issues, from dog bites to premise liability. Hopefully I'll get into those one day, but starting off with the car accidents, start somewhere.
And I know you're in the Marine Reserve still as you continue your law career and head towards that political career, I guess, but you also still devote time to helping homeless veterans and misdemeanor criminal cases a little bit. And what drives that passion to give back?
I think like growing up in the post 9/11, watching pretty much the war and terror happen on TV, no matter where I went, especially like airports, you'd see the service members returning home, and the amount of everyone, how much respect they gave those. And I think that was kind of instilled in me growing up, watching people give back to the veteran community, and then my family, a lot of them themselves being veterans. Really kind of gave me that passion to help them. And then the respect that is mutually shared between the veterans and people trying to help them. I think it's a community that is really welcoming if you want to help, and it's a community that's very receptive of that help.
Yeah, speaking of, let's help them right now. Let's, if you don't mind, let's do an exercise. Give us, or give our listeners, a 1-minute consultation, if you will. What advice do you have for veterans facing homeless or legal situations right now, in general?
In general, I'd say, first off, reach out to Atlanta John Marshall Law School, especially if you're having a misdemeanor issue. Civil issues, we have always referred to the Warrior Alliance or the Atlanta Volunteers Lawyer Foundation. But make sure anything that happens, you retain your paperwork. That's very tough. We handed out a lot of folders at our events to make sure you can retain your paperwork. And just knowing your rights in general. As a veteran, you kind of want to reach out to know what resources are there, and it's tough if you don't have that kind of access. One of the things I just became aware of is most county, not every county, have a veterans treatment court. So if you specifically, and in your county, if you're dealing with a legal issue, always ask if they have a veterans treatment court. It's a different subsect of the main court where they kind of give some deference to you being a military member, and then you get assigned a mentor, and they've reduced a lot of charges or completely
dismiss them
if you're on track in their program. And a lot of it is weekly updates. They make sure you're put you in contact, get you a job, whatever situation outside of the legal one. That mentor is there to help you establish yourself, especially after getting out of the service, or if you've been out of the service for a long time, they're helping you get the services you need with VA. So the Veterans Treatment Course is something I just became aware of, and they're very great.
So go to gmke.law to get in touch with Nathan. Also, sign up at thewarrioralliance.org. We've got all kinds of legal help and support downstairs with who's our friend down there who we talk to sometimes?
Army lawyer.
Yeah. He's the
Norman Zoller.
Yeah,
yes.
Norman. Golly.
Great guy.
He's so busy we never really get to talk to him anymore. He's down there. There's a stack of paper burying the guy, and so he's working hard. Norman is fantastic. What about veterans who are doing well, though, like you? Do you got any advice for guys and gals that are trying to level up in their careers like you have?
Yes, I think, again, reaching out to the counties, if you want to be a mentor, if you want to give back, and maybe not have the time to during the workday to go volunteer all day, you can be a mentor to a lot of these veterans going through these courts, whether it be drug court, veterans court. They need people to sponsor veterans who just had a rough go of it, and they need someone to reach out. And again, that military connection,
that camaraderie.
It's like you're basically checking in with your sergeant or staff sergeant, and that's what it's kind of made to feel like. So that way you can, have that connection to service, and feel like you're a part of that group, and they help you kind of pull you out of that tough situation.
I like that, man. That's great. And how do people? You just said reach out to your county, whatever county you're in, to see if they have that
to see
program.
If they have that program. Other than that, just reach out to any.
Would the Warrior Alliance know, what counties have those? Do you think, or would your law firm know?
I don't think my law firm would know. Maybe Norman would know.
I bet.
Norman knows everything.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
he's an encyclopedia.
I've emailed him quite a bit with some questions.
I bet.
But I think in my county, I've become a part of it. In Henry County, they have a great one. Mm-hmm. And every county, it's up to them to put on the Veterans Court, and that's where in our clinic, we referred a lot of people to those courts.
One other thing, I know we talked before the show that you actually listen to the show now.
Yes.
You're one of our first guests who's been listening all year long, and that's great. And you wanted to give your phone number because we know that homeless veterans sometimes can't have internet access. So tell us the phone number and how to get a hold of you guys over there at GMKE Law Firm.
Well, this will actually be to the Veterans Clinic at the Atlanta John Marshall Law School.
Okay, fantastic.
It'll be 678-916-2645.
There you go. So if you're in that situation, hit that number just one more time.
678-916-2645, right?
That is correct. And that is Atlanta's John Marshall Law School's Homeless Veterans Legal Clinic.
And it's your duty as a veteran to be the very best you can be. So it is not a disgrace to reach out for help. It's actually you're being a great American. Reach out and get some help. We can help you at thewarrioralliance.org.
Nathan, thanks so much, man.
Yes, thank you for having me. And real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to my fiance, Natalie.
There you go. Attaboy.
She's helping me. She helped me get through the bar and is supporting me really well. My new attorney position.
There you go, man. Hey, let me tell you, there's always somebody, right?
Yes.
Maybe it's a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, parent. There's always somebody that's helping. Nobody makes it on their own ever.
Right.
Always.
And hey, man, you're helping, and we appreciate everything you're doing for our veterans. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.